Next on American History TV's American Artifacts, we visit the Cannon House office building to see artifacts that tell the story of African Americans in Congress in the 20th century.
I'm Farah Elliott. I'm the curator at the U.S. House of Representatives.
And I'm Matt Wisniewski. I'm the historian at the House of Representatives.
And we wanted to talk today a little bit about the history of African American representation in the 20th century.
So there's a long period, almost 3 decades after George Henry White leaves Congress, where there's no African Americans who serve in either the House or the Senate. And that has everything to do with the Jim Crow laws that go on the books in the South. And the way that changes over time during those decades, there's a critical thing going on in the South where African Americans begin to leave the South and move northward as part of a multi-decade movement that would later be called the Great Migration. And that begins, depending on which historian you talk to, 1890s and runs really through World War II. It picks up momentum around World War I as there's a need in the North to fill industrial jobs and jobs that had been occupied by men who've now gone off to fight in the war. And you see tens of thousands of African Americans moving northward for the first time, out of the rural South, out of agricultural jobs, to industrial jobs in Chicago, St. Louis, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, New York. And over time, the African American population in those cities increases. And the African Americans in those cities are gradually recruited by the political parties. And Oscar DePriest is a perfect example of that process. He actually is born in the South. He and his family are part of a group called the Exodusters, who moved to the Midwest to Kansas. He actually goes to grade school and high school in Salina, Kansas. But he finds his way to Chicago in the 1890s, and he moves up through the political system. He becomes a Chicago city councilman in the mid-19-teens, and his career has some peaks and valleys. But by the 1920s, he's part of the Republican political machine in Chicago as an alderman, a ward alderman. And in 1928, when the sitting congressman from Chicago, a very powerful Republican named Martin Madden, who is on the Appropriations Committee, passes away mid-Congress, in the fall elections, DePriest runs for the seat, and he wins. So in 1929, he comes to the House of Representatives.
You know, one of my favorite things about Oscar DePriest's career is this little tiny button that we have in the collection that is from his career. It's really small, and it says DePriest for Congress with a picture of him. And one of the things I love most about it is that they're very rare. There probably weren't that many of them around initially, and very few survive. I think I've only seen maybe one other, maybe 2 others in existence. But if you think about this tiny little button worn on someone's lapel, looking for all the world like any other button, this actually represents a revolution. The attempt to elect an African American to Congress for the first time in decades. So just this presence of this little 1.25 inch diameter piece of metal would have been a real statement on the part of whoever was wearing it. And I love that it has survived and that it has come back to the place that whoever owned this wanted DePriest to end up, which was the U.S. Congress.
To see more photographs, artwork, and images of African Americans in Congress, visit history.house.gov. The website is a collaborative project between the U.S. House of Representatives Historian's Office and the House Clerk's Office of Art and Archives.